We're going to be talking about the Salem witch trials. This is one of the most exciting, creepy things that we will study this year. And we really want to get to the bottom of why did this happen? Why did a community in 1690, 1691 turn against its own people? So there's some reasons for the tension in Salem, Massachusetts. In the last year or so, there was a lot of turnover. So there was a newly appointed governor, Sir Edmund Andros. He began abolishing local legislatures and raising taxes. He voided land titles that had been created under the former colonies. Sometimes decades of work were destroyed and completely ignored. So land and homes that were built were just not even in existence anymore. They were irrelevant. He established high fees and reinstated the titles. And those who refused to pay lost their land. So there was some rift that was going on a couple years before the actual event of the Salem witch trials that lasted 2 to 3 months. Also, people began to fight over land rights and shifting property lines. So people already had some animosity against one another. Again, remember, this is a small community. There was also some colonial wars that were going on at the time, and the colonial wars kind of seeped into Salem or around its borders, and that displaced people from where they once lived, and it trickled them into Salem, making them outsiders, and I'll speak about this again. They added to the community's already struggling to get along society, and again, there was mistrust among the residents. And I just want to take the time out to tell you, think about the time period. It's 1690. There are not a lot of answers for many things that happen throughout life, sicknesses, natural disasters, etc. So also, Puritans, we can refer to them as colonists. They weren't very tolerant of those people who did not practice the Puritan religion. They had strict civil and moral codes, and anyone who failed to follow it were probably ostracized from the community. They believed that God showed his displeasure in something by sending wars and epidemics and crop failures, and these things were going on in the Salem at the time. At this time as well, Salem town and Salem village were separating just because of the local politics that were going on at the time. It divided Salem. So Salem consisted of a town on the coast and a village inland about 5 miles away and a 2-hour walk. What happened is the town depended on the village for food, and the town leaders set the crop prices and collected taxes from the villagers. The villagers are the ones that are creating not a rift, but those are the ones that would have to do the walking into town. Okay? The town controlled the church and church attendance, but as the village grew, its residents wanted to have a church closer to them. They didn't want to walk those 2 hours every Sunday. In 1672, the town agreed, but by that time, Salem Village had grown enough to develop a different identity from Salem Town. Now, we can say, this theory, not so much. It happened in 1672. Everybody agreed. So maybe that didn't have as much to do. But some would say, well, the rift had already been established by them and the differences between the people. So there were still some unresolved issues, and it boiled over into 1691. There were petty disputes in the village because common and constantly shared with the town, that the town leaders finally asked the villagers to stop involving them. Now, Reverend Samuel Parris, enter the Parrises. Parris was the village's first ordained minister, but his sermons definitely denounced the worldly ways and economic prosperity of Salem town. Okay, again, that's going to create conflict among the villagers. Salem town threatened true Puritan values, and other villages did not care for Parris and his off the cusp sermons. Few households refused to pay his salary, and this really was at the height of right before the Salem witch hysteria took place. Now, in 1692, an outbreak of smallpox hit Massachusetts. This can also give us a look into why it occurred, because they believed in the devil, the Puritans, and they believed that there was a presence in Salem. And it just seemed easy to accept that as a possible explanation for Salem's problems. So there's a lot that's going on in Salem at the time that causes this hysteria. And we're going to talk more about what hysteria is and what does it look like. Is hysteria real? Were there really witches? Were these women really witches? Those accusing each other? Why did they do the accusing? Who were the accused? So it's a really interesting topic, and I love the time of year that it comes at. So demographics could certainly be part of the argument, okay? The average size of the family farms in Salem Village. Remember, the farms are in the village, okay? Village in acres. You see here, if you read this map, you can tell by this time the acres. Remember, the town minister came in and adjusted everyone's lines, villa property lines, and here in 1690 you can see that there is a decrease in the amount of farms and the size of the farms. Okay, so also here you want to take a look. The map below depicts Salem Village. Okay, it's on the left. It's the Salem Village. It's the Salem town. Most people in Salem Village, they're the farmers. Okay, in Salem Village, they're the farmers. Notice we have this river here, and this is kind of curious. Some people, though has been debunked, thought that maybe the water had been contaminated, making people look a little bit crazy. The A stands for, I think there's a Q, a key. A stands for the accuser. So people in Salem Village are doing the accusing. The W's, which there's only a couple right here, the W's are the accused witch. Notice on the outskirts, those are those people coming in, probably from those colonial wars. And then the D is the defender. Okay, they having to defend those who are being accused here. So these are the accusers. They're the ones that's saying that these people are witches. Notice there's not many D's here, just a couple. Many D's here. Not many A's here, many A's here. So the Salem Village we've talked about, mostly farmers. And Salem Town were mostly merchants and townspeople, people that earned a better living most likely than the farmers. The Salem Village people had to pay taxes to Salem Town. It just seemed like a lot of unfairness was going on, inequity was going on at the time. So demographics could certainly be another reason why the Salem kind of fueled the fire, if you will, for the Salem witch hysteria. We cannot discount that Puritans believed in witchcraft. Okay, Cotton Mather, he's a leader of the Puritans, and he believes that there is witchcraft. So this gives the girls the boost they need to make this seem believable, to make witches, women turning into witches, believable. So if you want to go ahead and read this for a little bit, you can almost, it's almost, I know, laughable and hard to believe that people thought this way. But don't forget, this is years and years ago, and we need answers to things. But notice he mentions witches and witchcraft so many times. We never met any robbers, therefore there are none, right? But we will prove that witchcraft exists. Those who deny it exists argue that they never saw any witches, therefore there are none. They would be as if you or I said, we never met any robbers, therefore there are none. Meaning, you don't always meet your robbers, but there are robbers out there. I have two pieces of evidence that witchcraft exists. First, the scripture mentions witchcraft, so it must be, right? And secondly, many people have experienced the horrors of witchcraft. So this just gives the girls the boost they need to make their testimony believable. And in comes Abigail Hobbs. This is the testimony of a teenager accused of witchcraft. So she would have lived in Salem Village. She would have lived in Salem Town. I remember these are the accusers, these are the accused. She was accused of witchcraft, Abigail Hobbs. And so just look through this, or read this along with me. Abigail Hobbs, you are brought before authority to answer to various acts of witchcraft. What say you? Are you guilty or not? Speak the truth. I will speak the truth. I have seen sights and been scared. I've been very wicked, and I hope I shall be better, if God will help me. What sights did you see? I have seen the devil. How often? Many times, but once. What would he have you do? Why, he would have me be a witch. Would he have you make a covenant with him? Yes. What I'd like you to do is you can also hop on Google and research the Hobbs family, Abigail Hobbs. You see her testifying that she feels as though she has been wicked, may have saved her in court. Okay? What would he have you done? Why he would have me be a witch? Would he have you make a covenant or agreement with him? Yes. She's saying she has seen the devil. Okay, remember, she is of a teenager accused of witchcraft, Abigail Hobbs. So the best thing for Abigail to do is go along with it. So do a little research on Abigail Hobbs and see what you can find. We have information right here with this little heart. Next, I want you to fill out what caused the Salem witch crisis of 1692. It's going to look just like this, or much like this. Salem evidence A, Salem evidence B, what is it? So you would just simply state it's the demographics, and maybe you would say your other evidence would be colonial wars, not wars. And then you would go ahead and answer. According to this document, why did the people of Salem believe the girls were accused? And you can go out, fill that out, and what was happening economically in Salem in 1692. So you could talk about, okay, the taxes and land cuts, okay, and then you can go on, and then you'll just give me another source of evidence. You can rewind this video. This will all be in teams. Next, I want you to choose a claim statement. I'm going to provide some to you. You can come up with your own, or you can come up with ones that I provide. When you create a claim statement, keep it simple. Steal and spit. Okay, you're going to steal from the statement or the question. Restate and answer the question. Restate and answer the question using your knowledge, or only answer the question without giving text-based evidence. A lot of people or students in Dear Dan Snyder gave a lot of the information out right in the claim. So if we take a look, we'll take a look at what the inquiry question is in just a bit. Here are some claim statements. These were written by a student of mine, so it is possible. Choose from one of these three unless you want to make your own, and that's absolutely fine, but these have been approved. So take a look now. Choose one, choose number two, choose number three. This one you'd have to do a little bit of, we're going to talk about Tituba, so you would have to wait to the lesson on Tituba, but this is a very interesting story here. So pause it right now and choose a claim. Place it on this paper. Oops, I will show you this paper. You're going to place it right here. That's also going to be in teams. I've done my own research on the Hobbs family. I would like you to do so as well. So let's take a look at our OneNote. If I pulled it up. In OneNote, let's see if I can get this to work. It's being slow today. So in my OneNote, I have, now notice I'm on OneNote Online, so it is not purple. This is in my content library. Do you actually have anything in there? I might need to go into my binder. I thought I had this pulled up. Apparently I did not. Martin's binder. Here we go. Take this time to stretch. Oh, there's my daughter. We won Cat in the Hat. Here we go. So we're just going to take a quick peek at this. I want you to take a look at this picture. And based on this painting, what do you think the artist is trying to say? What do you think the artist is trying to say? I'm going to pop this into conversations as well. And I want you to answer, what do you think is happening in this picture? What is the message that they're sending? Okay, you can pop that answer into conversations right under the assignment. You can do that now, you can do that later, whatever you'd like. Just want to introduce one more paper, and that's this. This will be your final assignment after we have done a lot of studying and research on this. On lines number 1 and 2, which is no longer going to really be necessarily on the back because I'm not printing this out for you, you're going to write text-based evidence sentences. You're going to use pieces of the text-based evidence and place in the quotes. So you will have text-based evidence provided to you in OneNote. On letter A, lines provide a seamlessly flowing explanation and reasoning to support the evidence you provided. I will give you a rubric, and this is what you need to look at. All your text evidence is relevant and supports the claim. You must support your claim. You have woven the quotations from the text seamlessly into your own writing in a great flow from one sentence to the next. So you'll write your claim sentence, which was from here. This was your claim sentence. You'll write it right there. Then you will take your text-based evidence, giving yourself quotation marks. That's a passage, okay, or pieces of information that will be located in OneNote. And then you're going to give your reasoning. This is more in your own words, right? Just created a new word there. Okay. And then you will hand this in, and that will be the end. This will be your assessment. Remember, your question is, what caused the hysteria 1692? So we stealed and we spit. Don't literally spit. Okay. Don't forget to go back into Teams. You have assignments there. You need a post to the picture, and I will post everything there. Okay. Bye.